What is up, everybody? Alongside Big Man on Campus, I am Drew Martin. For Monday, July 2nd, this is the Marketology edition of World Cup betting. We're also going to throw in a little college football betting talk at the end. Big Man on Campus, without further ado, welcome in, man.
What is Thanks for having me, Drew. Always fun to join you.
Hey, I'm doing good, bud. World Cup action, wanted to get you on and really go over what's kind of catching your eye. We've had some upsets. Also, it looks like chalk's coming through as well. Belgium just had a scare as we're recording this, and Brazil won 2-0. But other than that, what are your thoughts you want to throw out there to the watchers?
Well, look, it's been a wild World Cup. I think that's one thing. I mean, if you obviously saw some of the games today and over the weekend, it's been a wild tournament. It's been some really good goalkeeping at points. There's been some really wild games like today. You're getting a little of everything in the World Cup, which is what you always get. But I think the pronounced thing right now is obviously the right side of the bracket and the lack of big teams. Really, I mean, Germany out, Spain out. Argentina out. Italy didn't even make this tournament. So, the one side's obviously very fortuitous with England and Croatia as your strongest teams. You got kind of hangers on in Switzerland and Colombia. And then you have a side with France, Brazil, Belgium, and Uruguay. I mean, that's a really high end bracket. My thing right now, Drew, is if I'm a bettor, I'm looking at some of the right side teams and I'm saying to myself, look, if I can get Colombia and Switzerland right now, I mean, look, there's a real chance that tomorrow that could be dead money, both of those teams. It's very possible. But here's what one thing it does do. It presents value. You can get right now those two teams, in the market. You can get Switzerland right now, Drew, at 33-1. You can get Colombia at 18-1. If they happen, for instance, tomorrow, Switzerland, if they could beat Sweden, why can't they go and get to the final? There's no pronounced really good team. I think Croatia's the best team, and I think they will get to the final, and I hope they do because I have a future. But I think you got to start looking and presenting that kind of value. Maybe even Uruguay. Right now I'm not looking to take a big boy because I'm not going to get anything back really. I'm going to look to maybe grab a team, get to the final, and hedge my way out of the bet. I'm looking at stuff like that as opposed to getting in bed with some of these big boys.
Yeah, Big Man. I'm looking. Just Sherman from the Westgate just put out his odds. I think you were reading from Colombia at 18-1, Switzerland 40-1, and then you threw out Croatia at 6-1, having to play Russia there. No value there with Croatia 6-1.
Well, here's the thing, Drew. I mean, Croatia's. I mean, I feel like now with Croatia, I mean, you're really getting weakened. No presented real. I mean, 6-1's a good price, I guess. But for instance, I got them at 35-1. I bet it before the tournament. So for me to tell you to take 6-1, um, I think as far as the top four, yeah, I would definitely probably take that. But um, you know, that Russia team's interesting. I mean, do you take a shot with them at this point at 20-1? I mean, they seem pretty magical. I mean, there are 10 teams left, and they're one of them. They're in an easy side of that bracket. Why can't they get to the final? Lose in the final, and it won't look too look too weird, Drew, if they get to the final and lose. All these teams on the right side, I think, present some sort of value, and I would probably get it on one of them for sure, or a couple of them. Even Sweden, 40-1. You look at Drew tomorrow with Sweden. They play Switzerland. Switzerland has two defenders out, Lichtsteiner and Schär. They're the two best defenders. Lichtsteiner's the captain of the side, and he's out because of yellow cards. If Sweden can move on in that game, which it's very possible, you're looking at a 40-1 favorite that'll probably be, or a dog that'll probably cut in half. That'll go down to 20-1 or something. There's some interesting sides as far as on that side of that bracket, taking a shot with some of these big boys. Or little boys and kind of leaving out the big guns.
Yeah, I like that. And in Switzerland, that was a game I watched every play here in Costa Rica. They were struggling against Costa Rica. Costa Rica looked the best against them by far than anyone. So and
Costa Rica, I thought they're really impressive in that third game. It was sad that their coach kind of lined them up the way he did. I thought he was a poor coach for them. They kind of waited till the end to really kind of go for it, which I felt if they would have played like that the entire tournament, they maybe could have found a way to get through.
Yeah.
That was an interesting group, and I always give the Costa Ricans, I try to give them respect because they do play really well. I mean, they're a tight unit. They're not the flashiest, they're not the sexiest play, but they find ways. And Switzerland was just a tad bit better in that one, but yeah, no, look, I respect the Costa Ricans, and again, Switzerland without those two players, I'm a bit more concerned for their defense. Those are especially Lichtsteiner. I mean, he's a high end defender. He's the captain of the side. That's a tough loss.
Big man, we got some guys in the chat box chiming in. Just saying different things. What's up, 6'9", Tomar, Tyler, Sandesh, but throwing out there a little bit about Russia making it this far. Do you think there's any shenanigans behind that with the refs or anything like that's got them through this far?
Yeah, I think at this point there have been some shady things. I mean, I thought the first game really set them up. I mean, winning 5-0 was pretty big. I mean, they ended up not really needing it just because Egypt had some things. But I'll even go one better. I do thoroughly believe, Drew, that there was something. And again, it's all hearsay and jokes at this point. But no one finds it interesting that Mohamed Salah gets injured the game before the tournament begins. The best player for Egypt. I mean, that just happened to happen. They obviously got a great draw being in that group. You had two majority Muslim teams in that group coming off Ramadan. There's a lot of things that really set up well for them. Listen, Drew, they get Saudi Arabia on the day of Ramadan being over. They beat them 5-0. I didn't think the Saudis are 5 goals worse. They weren't good in that game, but 5 goals is ridiculous. I thought they had a benefit of a good group. I thought yesterday there was an obvious penalty late in the game, wasn't called. Yeah, I think there's been some shenanigans for sure. Do I think if this tournament was in Dublin, Ireland, would they be this far? No, I don't.
We got George in the chat box saying Croatia beating Russia, and looking at the odds right now on SBR odds, it's I guess reading the three-way odds, plus 284, plus 125 for Croatian, plus 218 on the draw. Do you like anything there?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think Croatia's a team, and I'm much higher on Croatia than certain people are and some people are. I think they're a team that could win this tournament. I think they're a team that could really bother people. I thought yesterday though they did have one of those bogey games, kind of like Belgium did today. They got lucky to go through yesterday. That was obviously very good goalkeeping from both goalkeepers in that game. But I think with the midfield that they have, there aren't many teams that can match that. Now, obviously, as we get farther in this tournament, the great thing that Croatia has is they're in that right side of the bracket. So the teams that they're facing, they're better than all of the teams that they will face from here on out. They're better than. So I think Croatia really sets up well for them. I think this could be a low scoring match. But yeah, I think Croatia will go through. I would probably just kind of grab my balls and probably lay the to qualify here. You're going to probably lay around 180, but there could be some real shenanigans here. I think Croatia, with the trajectory they have, with the bracket that they have, I'd be hard pressed to find someone to beat them. England might, and that'd be a great semi-final game if it's those two. I'll tell you this: do not count out England because this England side, well, don't count out Colombia either. Colombia, Drew, this side of the bracket's so fascinating because you have injuries, you have guys that are out right now. I've heard through the grapevine James Rodriguez is going to play tomorrow against England. That would be, if he's in there, a huge boost to that Colombian side. That game could be closer than people think. I wouldn't just go in, say, I don't think James is playing and take England. You better make sure you check out those lineups before you play Colombia or you play England. All these teams are live on that right side to me.
Yeah, and I can remember people even before the World Cup started, kind of Colombia seemed to be a trendy underdog pick. Like if you're taking a 30, 40 to 1 slot, Colombia seemed to be thrown out there a lot going up against England. I mean, this is an interesting line game. Are you making a play on this game tomorrow?
I'll tell you this. I'm really kind of at the point with this match where, I want to take Colombia at 3 to 1 because, but I'm really kind of concerned. I'm really gambling here. This is gambling. I mean, and I don't want to gamble. I want to have some sort of edge. I'm really gambling on if James Rodriguez plays or not, because I think he's integral to Colombia winning and doing things in this tournament. I think he's that good. But a hamstring, as you know, you've played sports. If anyone knows about the human body, a hamstring is a tough injury. I mean, it can flare up. It's kind of like a back. You could play for 6 minutes and go out of the game. Without him, they're surely not the same team. So yeah, I'm at this point considering it. I might just take the half a goal and say, let's see what happens here. I think Colombia with him and with Falcao and Cuadrado and Sanchez in defense, I like Ospina in goal. Yeah, I like Colombia. I think they could beat England for sure. If James is in there, definitely. But I'm waiting for the lineups or some better information.
All right, good stuff, big man. And yeah, we got George in the chat box saying Russia goes as far as Vladimir wants them to go. That's a good one right
Yeah,
there.
but the problem is, as the tournament goes on and on, it becomes more and more pronounced. I
Yeah.
mean, I get it. I mean, he's a powerful guy. And like I said, I don't believe if this was in Canada, I don't think Russia would be in this right now. But again, I mean, I guess that's kind of the good thing having the home nation and being the home nation.
Yeah, for sure, big man. And guys, if you're liking the content here, please give us the thumbs up sign, the like button, and any questions you have for the big man on campus or myself, feel free to write them in the chat box here. Any World Cup, any college football, any where is big man talking from right now type questions. Feel free to just throw them out there. But big man, anything else you want to throw out just World Cup wise before we move to college football?
Yeah, actually, I have a couple things here. I think, I touted Romelu Lukaku to be the top goal scorer in this tournament, and I will tout myself at 20-1 before this tournament started. I gave that out for free on SBR. Me and Alex need for tips. That's down Drew to 5-1, and let me break down kind of where we are with that. Lukaku at 4 goals, Harry Kane only more goals at 5. So you look at again goes back to the side of the bracket. Belgium obviously has some tougher games here, but I thought Romelu Lukaku, he had that last goal they had, he was very important on, but he didn't have a great game from that standpoint. I still like where I'm at with that. I think at 5-1, it's a decent shot. Maybe even Kylian Mbappe as well. He's only 2 back. Harry Kane, you're gonna have a tough game tomorrow, but I'm only 1 back with Lukaku. So if you want to ride out, that one's there. And I'm actually, Drew, going to mention one other thing. This isn't World Cup related, but I'll share this right now because I'm on the air. And if you want to opine and join me, I'd love to see you with us here. I'm going to take Arsenal to win the Premier League next year at 29-1. You can find that at various books. I'm jumping on that right now. A lot of people will point and say, "Big man, I thought you hated Arsenal." I don't hate Arsenal. I hated Arsene Wenger, and Arsene Wenger's not there anymore. He's gone. They have a new manager coming in. And Drew, the big problem that Arsenal's had over the last couple of years is A, they forgot how to win. B, they forgot how to sign players. And C, they really negated and neglected their defense. They had poor defensive players this year. They went out and really retooled defensively. They have a new goalkeeper coming in. And I think this new coach is really going to get a lot more out of the midfield. Granit Xhaka has had a great World Cup. I think he goes back to Arsenal and really opens up a little bit with a new coach. You got Aubameyang there already. Lacazette, who didn't play in the World Cup, so he'll be real fit and ready to go. I think Arsenal's really got some good things coming to them over the next year or so, especially with that price around 30-1. I think Arsenal could be a real team to worry about this year. They've went out, they've addressed their needs, and the transfer window is obviously not over yet. So just want to throw out there, if you're in the mood, I jumped on Arsenal at 29-1 to win the Premier League.
Okay. And big man, real quick question here. What about my Sweden 45-1 future from Anthony? Would you, I guess, would you say to jump on that? What would you say about a 45-1 future on Sweden?
Well, look, I mean, at this point, I mean, 45-1, that's a great price. And I think they have the leg up tomorrow just because of those two guys being out, Schar and Lichtsteiner, in that defense. That's a big loss. Um, it's tough because I would have liked to have seen Ibrahimovic on this roster. I think they're a solid group. I like Lustig, Lindelof. I like Berg up front. But tomorrow's going to be a tough game. If they can get through that, I, I would keep riding it out. I think they probably will beat Switzerland, but I don't know. I'm looking at the draw on that match. As far as the price, I would just stick with it. You got a better price than any of us are getting here now. They obviously have the leg up tomorrow in that game just with those defenders out. I would probably I don't know. I mean, I don't know really what you want me to say about the future. I think it's a great price. I'm happy for you. I think you should hang with it and just kind of ride it out. Especially at that price, it's a bit too early to hedge. I would stay with what you got.
Big man, you bring up Arsenal and in the EPL, correct?
Yes.
Their season runs somewhat congruent with college football and NFL, right?
Yeah, it goes from August till May. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, personal wise, for guys getting in this business and really just how to
Yeah.
spend their time. How can you handicap college football, NFL, and EPL kind of going on at all the same time?
Well, I've said this before, and I really don't mean to be arrogant at all here. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I think one thing that my parents blessed me with is I have I'm not photographic, but I do have a fairly good memory. I can rattle off something right at the top of my head. I can remember things from last year. I just remember things. And I think it's easy to I can kind of do multiple things at once. I think that's important. Like if you came to me and said, "Hey, tell me about Belgium," and then tell me about the Eagles, I think I have a decent mind to be able to process that quickly. And I'm just kind of one step ahead always. Luckily, you and I do this every day, so we kind of get into the patterns. But I would say I think, blessed with a pretty good memory and able to kind of retain knowledge. And I think and this is very rudimentary, but I keep these notebooks and I just write everything down. I mean, everything I've talked before, I have a college basketball notebook where I have literally tons and tons of notes and I just kind of like sit there and read it. And I've said before also during college basketball, like even right before, I'll sit there and I'll just watch a random game just to like understand what players play where and where people are. But as far as how do I do it, just I luckily have the time to sit there and kind of read and write notes and I have a pretty good memory. I think that's important. And obviously concentrating on what you're doing. Um, I've said before I don't have much of a life from August till or September until May. And that's just because I really enjoy what I'm doing and um, I kind of immerse myself into it.
Yeah, good stuff. I understand what you mean, and having like a life outside of this at times can be very difficult. So I definitely understand that.
But I will say, Drew, I wouldn't tell people to like do multiple sports at once. I don't think it's a great
Mhm.
idea. And then that's why for me, like NFL's fun for me, but I'm more of a fan. I love the Eagles and I'll handicap a game or two a week in the NFL. I just kind of know it because I watch it. I don't consider myself a top NFL handicapper. I'll do like there's a kid on Twitter that hosts every year. It's like a mini super contest. I'll do stuff like that, or I'll put out a game a week or something. But for me, it's more or less soccer and the college football, just because that's kind of where my interests are. NFL is kind of for me a little bit more secondary.
In as far as is because I'm on the same plane as you in the NFL. I kind of watch the NFL as a fan. I'll bet on it, but definitely not going to think that I'm going to beat the NFL betting markets long term. My question to you is, do you think the NFL is still beatable? How efficient of a market it is, as many eyeballs are on it, the supply tends to equal the demand. Do you think the NFL betting markets are beatable?
No, I don't think any pro sports are personally,
Okay.
unless you will basically cave and do what professionals do. Like for me with the NBA, I think it's utterly impossible to sit there and try to cap a game. I just don't think it's a waste of time. You're not going to win. If you strictly just go off of like moves and fading the public, I think you can win. It's not foolproof, not guaranteed, but I think that's a way to do it. The NFL, I don't know. I mean, I think if Donnie Wright's at him. He's a guy that's done very well in the NFL over the years because he kind of has the right system. He's kind of like me with betting. Sports betting. I kind of look to one or two games, and he does the same thing, and that's why him and I are fairly have fairly good chemistry on what we do because he's kind of the same better as me. He kind of isolates one or two games and just tries to immerse himself in those two. I mean, Donnie Wright said foolproof that it can be beat. Do I think it is? It's becoming tougher and tougher. But I did fairly well personally in it. I thought it was a pretty good season last year, but I think it's just kind of knowing when Drew, you have a 90%, you have a favorite that's a 90% public back, and just kind of understanding that not a lot of those win generally. You're taking underdogs, getting involved with kind of junk teams, that kind of stuff. Is it beatable? Yeah, I mean Donnie's done it, so I
Okay.
think it is. Sure.
All right, fair enough, man. What else do you want to get into before throwing out a little college football? Anything, man?
Yeah, I think I think this is the good thing about this show. I think there's not a lot of shows that have something like this. I think this is very much needed in this business. I think, and I commend you for doing it. I think there are so many bad opinions out there, really horrendous, between the World Cup and just hideous opinions. And I shout you out for putting stuff like this out because I think people need to kind of understand that. Um, is this a hard business? Yeah, it is hard to win. It's not easy. It's not easy to profit and grind and make money. But I think instead of just giving picks and trying to make everyone feel rosy, we have to come to the realization that it's not all rosy. You don't win. You don't. Everyone doesn't always get the job done. You don't make millions. You don't always win. It just doesn't work like that. And I commend you for putting stuff like this out. Little theory and things like that. Having bookmakers on. Look, I hate bookmakers. They're my enemy. But I think the stuff you put out as far as info, it's very valuable. And that's the big thing. Um, make sure you're going to people that somewhat know what they're talking about. They immersed in this business. That's where I commend you for doing what you're doing because all this stuff is everyone can give a pick out and flap their gums and it wins. Where are the guys? And I've connected Drew a lot to poker. Poker, there's a reason Phil Ivey always wins. There's a reason Daniel Negreanu is always around. That guy with the cowboy hat on, the old guy,
Yeah.
Doyle Brunson, there's a reason he's always around. Why do you think that is? It's because he wins. He's consistent. And I don't care what anybody says. You can take this to the motherfucking grave. There's a reason I've been on doing this shit for 10 years. And there's a reason you've been around for a while. There's a reason Donnie Wrightside, Ian Cameron, and some of the other guys that we deal with. The flavor of the month bullshit, anybody can give picks out and be there when they win, but not there when they lose. It's hard to get on here every day and give out information and be there. And this business is so saturated at this point, but I commend people like you for putting out content slowly but surely about stuff like this because it's pretty valuable.
Well, thank you for that, big man. And yeah, trying to just make people smarter, better, throw it out there. So yeah, and like you just said, it's easy to throw out picks, but description of why. Why are you betting that? Theory. Is it a matchup? Is it a coaching angle? Thank you for saying that.
A great point. That's a great point. You have to be able to, and I've often said, I don't think giving out winners. I mean, it's always good when you win. You always feel good when you win, but I want to make sure when I put a pick out, I want to feel like I did that, and I don't feel when it loses, I can honestly say, you know what, I thought that was the right side. I don't have a problem. We're going to all lose. This business, if you win 55, 56%, you're going to make a lot of money, and that's key. Most people don't understand that. They don't see it. The guys that are always all they do is win. You can be whoever you want on the internet, Drew. That's the sad thing about it. You can truly be whoever you want. I respect only the people that will get on here, like you and I and others, that will get on here no matter what. And like Drew, today, I'll be 100% honest with you. I had absolutely zero interest in getting on the air today. You know why? Because I was physically pissed off. I was really mad that LeBron James didn't come to Philadelphia. I knew it probably wouldn't have happened. And I really didn't want to get on the air and talk about it today. But I'm someone that will get on it. I'm not going to hide. I can't hide. I have to be on here. So, there's, I commend people that will get on and face the music, no matter if I like you or don't. If you get on here every day and you're not just here for being a flavor of the month, I think everyone at SBR solely loves the business that they're in. I don't do this for, you know, you know, I do this because I love to do it. I mean, Drew, right now, I'd love to show you the weather. I'd love to show you where I'm at right now. If you could see where I'm at, I literally have the ocean. I could walk to it and be there within 2 minutes. I have a jet ski. But no, I'm sitting here and I do these shows because I like you. And I'm supposed to. But a lot of people wouldn't do this. A lot of people don't want to put the time in to be what they want to be. They're always just once in a while. They always want to. It's
Yeah.
a flavor of the month. I'm gonna do it now. No, I put my motherfucking time in. I'll keep doing it, and I'll keep grinding away.
No, that's a great point. It's good with anything in life. You got to love what you're doing, and it's funny because now just being on here, like people will message me and be like, "Hey, how do I get into the business? Like I'm learning, I'm handicapping, I'm working hard," and I've been able to since be like, okay, one message when somebody sends it, it's like, yeah, it's a cool industry, whatnot. But the guys that stay on you, like 2 messages, 3 messages once a week, those are the guys that might have the potential to do something and to
The
stay
thing
on
is, Drew,
something. Go ahead.
people contact me. I've had people contact me and say, "Can you get me in on this? Can you get me in that?" I can't do it yourself. I did it the same way. I remember when I first started at SBR. I remember I contacted SBR. I just sent a message to the whatever email. I think it was Peter Loshak actually. I sent him a message and I said, "Hey, I really think I have some decent content. I'd love to do a video with you." They said no initially. Him and Deb Stern says no. So I kept emailing. I kept emailing. Eventually said, okay, you know what? We'll do a video with you. They gave me 2 games, and I remember initially I was so scared to get on like Skype. I didn't want to do it. And I eventually did it. And if you want something, you'll go and do it. You
Yeah.
know, and that's why, like, personally, Drew, like with my weight, I've always had a problem with it because, like, I know, like, I'm the big man on campus, but everything else in my life I've been so like dedicated and controlled with. And that's why it's interesting that I'm overweight, because I often think to myself, like, I wonder why, because I'm so driven in everything else that I'm doing. Why am I overweight? Maybe it's something inside of me. Maybe I have something wrong with me. I don't know. But I want to comment quickly. Patty Z. Patty Z, you might be getting me confused with someone else. I've never, ever told you to bet Spain. I've never been on Spain. They've not been a future I'm on. You might be getting me confused with someone else. I know that's difficult just because I am kind of good looking and hard to confuse. But again, I don't remember giving that out. You might be getting me confused with someone else. But Drew, I know we got other stuff to talk about or to wrap up. So I'll let you have the
Yeah,
floor.
and Anthony said something about a 45 to 1 starting hedging on Sweden. I don't know. I'm not a big hedging guy. Every time you do that, you're giving more money towards the books just because of the VIG value. So I would wait a
Yeah,
while on hedging. Do you have anything real quick to say on that, big man?
I would definitely wait on that one. I'm not at this point. No, I would wait till maybe the quarters or the semis. If they get that far, then I would definitely start hedging.
Yeah, and Big Man mentioned it earlier. I mean, going from what 16 to 8, the 16 round to the 8 round, your future will probably go from what 45 to 1 down to 20 to 1. So your hedging opportunity
For
will
sure,
double as well.
for
But
sure, exactly.
yeah, Big Man. Let's start off college football, dude. What do you want to throw out there? What's top of your mind college football betting?
Yeah, I keep looking at this Michigan team, and I keep liking them more and more. I'm going to kind of lead the charge in them this year. I think it's, again, put up or shut up time for Jim Harbaugh. You finally have yourself a quarterback, and I'm going to come out and say it. I think this is the best quarterback Michigan has had for 20, 30 years.
Was he in
And I
for
mean
spring
that.
football?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He's been there the past year. So obviously that's a big thing. You look back at the quarterbacks this team has had, they're few and far between, especially lately. They've had a dreck at quarterback. I mean, Devin Gardner and Shane Morris and just crap. I mean, Jake Rudock and guys like that. I mean, this is finally a quarterback that's just a total gunslinger, and I believe down the road will win the Heisman Trophy at some point. They got him for a couple years here. You look at this team from top to bottom. They have a great group of running backs. Higdon's a really good player. Their receivers are coming back. Tarek Black's back off of a year where he learned, I think, a lot. Grant Perry's off of some of his criminal issues that he had. They have a top-level defense. Rashawn Gary is a maniac. Chase Vinovich upstairs, up front. I mean, Rashawn Gary and Vinovich had 14 sacks between them last year. Just an impressive front line. I think Devin Bush is an All-American candidate. I know the writing on the wall is obviously Ohio State. Can they beat Ohio State finally? Um, again, I think it's every year they have a chance, but I just think this is Michigan's shot, and I think it's 16 to 1. I really like what I have there with them. I think they have the best defense in America coming into the season. David Long and Lavert Hill are just absolutely fantastic defensive backs. And you look at what Michigan has done over the last couple of years. I mean, Jordan Evans, Delano Hill, they've had some Jabril Peppers. They've had some fantastic defensive backs over the last couple of years. They have a good special teams group as well. I just think from top to bottom, they're really good. And I'll tell you what, Drew, you're going to find out a lot about Michigan right away. They get Notre Dame right on the road. I think they can beat Notre Dame. Notre
In
Dame's going to
South
be good,
Bend.
but I think yeah, it's tough for sure, but I think it's a lot like that Georgia game for Notre Dame last year. They're right there, and they find a way to not get the job done. Um, it's a pivotal season for Harbaugh, but I think he finds his way finally with the right quarterback. They must open up the offense, and I think they're going to do that. Drevno gone, thank God. Dreadful Drevno's gone. They get in a new coordinator in McElwain. I think they really open up this offense a little bit more, and they're a new look offense this year with Shea Patterson at the helm. Mark my words, he will win the Heisman Trophy at some point. He is that good. I think he's a better player overall and will be a better player than Johnny Manziel. I think he's that good. Watch out for Shea Patterson with a real quarterback coach in
All
Jim
right,
Harbaugh.
big man, I got some questions for you, and I haven't gotten to the Big Ten yet, but just doing a little Cliff Notes kind of handicap here on the Wolverines. At Notre Dame, you just brought up, we got their October. You know, Maryland, I'm kind of thinking Maryland's a little underrated. Wisconsin, and then at Sparty, and then coming back, like you said, at Ohio State. South Point right now has their season win total at 9, meaning what? Michigan can only lose 2 games for you to hit their season win total over. You still like this? They go 10-2?
Yeah, it's obviously tough, and they, look, they schedule correct. You know, they schedule. That's what Michigan will do, and you got to respect that. They're not playing, a Savannah State and it's Citadel. You know, they're playing tough teams, and I have always respect that about Michigan generally. But yeah, look, I think they'll beat Notre Dame. I think Michigan State will be a great knockdown, drag out game. Obviously D'Antonio comes back with always a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're poised to take a big step forward. Could I see them losing to Ohio State? Always, but would it surprise me if they run the gamut here? No, it wouldn't. I think if you're going to beat Ohio State, it's this year. Obviously Michigan State's a tough team. I don't think Penn State will be the same team without Joe Moorhead.
And
Keep
they
in
got a
mind, Joe
bye week
Moorhead.
right before that Penn State game too. That helps.
Yeah, and look, Joe Moorhead was integral to that Penn State offense. I mean, obviously you lose Saquon Barkley, you lose Deshaun Hamilton for Penn State. McSorley's a good player, but again, I mean, you did lose a lot. You lose Jaceki as well. There's a lot of players they lost there. I think Sparty's interesting because they returned 19 starters. You bring back Lewerke, and pretty much everyone from that defense. To me, I think the Big Ten's going to go through that Michigan State. I think those two teams. Obviously, Ohio State's always there with their classes that they bring in, and obviously with what they have up front and their quarterback and Urban Meyer and defensively J.K. Dobbins, Mike Weber back. But they have to replace Barrett. Is Dwayne Haskins ready to go quarterback? I think it's Michigan or Michigan State.
Okay. And Armin saying Michigan -1.5. He's right. Week 1 in South Bend. You want to throw out another team, future week 1 bet, season win total?
Yeah, I'm pretty high, and I actually mentioned this on the round. Maybe it was the round table. I don't know, but week 1, and you're gonna have to lay it, but I'm no stranger to laying in non-conference. I do it in college basketball. I'm gonna do it here. I think Oregon absolutely destroys Bowling Green. Bowling Green's a bad team, and I think Herbert coming back. Obviously Oregon with Tony Brooks James at running back. I think they come back and I think they really pound that Bowling Green team. You're gonna have to lay 27.5, but Bowling Green's I think among the top 10 worst teams in the country. Oregon's gonna lay it. I think they crush Bowling Green in week 1. But right now I'm just still kind of putting the finishing touches on what I'm looking at. Still reading some things here. I know as the season goes on, we'll get more and more involved. But at this point, I think Michigan at 16-1 has some real value.
Okay, that Oregon Bowling Green game up to 28.5. It's like the market's listening to you right now, big man. Totals wise, if that is 76.5, would you bet it over or under?
Under probably.
Okay.
I think Oregon. I think Oregon defensively, especially against a team like that, I mean, the athletes are just more superior. Everyone on defense is just quicker and faster and better at every position. So for me, I think generally teams like Bowling Green will struggle. I remember, they played Ohio State, I think last year or the year before, and I mean, they put up like 3 or 10 points. Plus Jim Levitt at Oregon. I mean, Jim Levitt's a good coordinator. He came over from Colorado. They made some strides last year on that end. Um, Against a team like Bowling Green, whenever you get a MAC or a Sun Belt or one of those D2 teams or D1A, double A, they're outmatched. I mean, they're not as quick, they're not as fast, they're not as hard nosed, they're not as physical. Um, when I'm getting a total that high, Oregon will put up 50 plus, but I don't think that Bowling Green's putting up 30 or anything. I think that's like a 58, 10 type of game or something.
And Big Man, it's funny you bring up this Bowling Green game because this is actually the team I was on right before we came in. I'm doing like 3 or 4 college football teams a day, getting ready for football season. I got here Mike Jenks' third year, which third year at a program is usually a good sign. But you bring up the fact Bowling Green is a bad football team. Since Dino Babers left, just 6-18 in the MAC. And remember, they were like top-notch MAC team with Dino Babers there. So
Yeah.
What is it about Bowling Green that you don't like?
Well, I just don't think that they have anything to look forward to. I mean, Jared Doge, I mean, what do you really have there? I mean, he came in last year in limited appearances. I just think when he left Babers, I mean, they really just they were just decimated, really. You look at Doge last year. I guess he was okay for what he was. A lot of the games were against, obviously MAC opponents, but I don't know. To me, this is really about when you're getting a Power Five team against a MAC team and a bad MAC team. Like I
Yeah.
said, I just think physicality is there. And you're right, Babers. When this team, I mean, remember some of the players they had. I mean, they had a guy named Garrett Dieter that went,
Yeah,
Garrett Dieter, I think his name was.
I
He
remember
went to
that.
Alabama and eventually played very well. Matt Johnson was a hell of a quarterback there for
Yeah.
many years. They were winning bowl games. They were putting up big numbers. And then he leaves, and you decimate your program. Listen, Georgia Southern was the same type of team. Georgia Southern was winning bowl games. They had that vaunted triple option attack.
Yeah.
Remember back in the
Oh,
day,
yeah.
with
They
Kevin
beat
Ellison.
Florida in Gainesville.
Yeah, Kevin Ellison, and I remember they took Georgia to the woodshed. Almost beat them back
Yeah.
then. I mean, they had Willie Fritz. He did some great things there. Willie Fritz leaves, goes to Tulane, and now look at Willie Fritz. Willie Fritz has really made a trajectory north. But the problem that Georgia Southern has is they hired some no-name coach, Tyson Summers, who was an absolute mess.
Yeah.
They didn't recruit whatsoever, and the problem is when you have the triple option, it can look real good or it can look really bad. And if you have guys that can't legitimately run it, when you're putting in 3 or 4 different quarterbacks like they were doing, they'd Fabian Upshaw, and then they had Breida sometimes with takes. It was just a mess. They just decimated their program, and now look at Georgia Southern. That's what happens. You must hire correctly at those programs. You have to, and that's why I liked like New Mexico. They went out and hired Bob Davie, a guy that I think had really kind of failed at a big program, but I think he's made some real strides at New Mexico. Guys like that, that have come in and you see it in college basketball. Hires are everything. You have to get the hire correct. If you can make a right hire, you can do some great things in football and basketball. But if you make the wrong hire, Kansas has been in that issue for so long, and they have no sort of. They don't ever want to make a decision. They'll give David Beatty a raise if he wins a game. That's where they are as a program. They'll give that coach a raise. You're it's like a mother that her daughter's a heroin addict and you won't get them help. You just keep feeding them heroin. They're not going to get off heroin. You have to make us change. Say, I'm not doing this anymore. Get the hell out of here, or you're going to rehab, or we're done. We're cutting you off. These fucking programs feed these shit coaches like Mark Mangino and David Beatty and say, oh, you won a game. Bullshit. You're in the Big 12. You have a great basketball program, a good athletic program. Why are we not winning games? I mean, we're rewarding these people for nothing, and that's why Kansas has been in this awful pattern. You cannot keep rewarding these guys. You have to go out and make a hire, like Iowa State did with Jason Candle. Remember that hire? They go out and get Candle from Toledo. Look at Iowa State. All of a sudden, they're a pretty good football program. You must hire correctly. That's the program in college football. You have to hire correctly.
I agree, big man. Well said. I guess just hiring correctly. Like, why isn't Kansas better? I think a lot of it is just, nobody goes to the games. So recruiting kids there, it just, you're bottom of the rung Big 12. And to tell you the truth, a lot of non-Power 5 teams are now better than Kansas for a lot of reasons. If you put UCF versus Kansas on a neutral field, what would you put the point spread? UCF would be -3 touchdowns probably.
No, they'd absolutely destroy them. And you know what's amazing, Joe? Look at this is a prime example last year. I'll bring up a guy that Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
Jeff Brom leaves West Kentucky, goes to Purdue. Okay, he made West Kentucky a player. He brought in Brandon Dowdy. He brought in Mike White. They were a great team in the Conference USA. Really good program. We're always in a bowl game. He leaves, goes to Purdue. What's Purdue do? All of a sudden, Purdue is up and coming. People go watch their games. People are interested. They're flirting with bowl berths. That's what a coach does for you. You look at Mike Sanford. Mike Sanford wasn't ready to be a head coach.
No.
Goes to West Kentucky. Now look, Mike Sanford's a coordinator. He's not a head coach.
Hey, big man.
That's another problem.
Dude, you come on, dude. I want to ask you this real quick. I think fading first-time head coaches is something I'm looking to do now. If a guy has only been a coordinator, and I'm not, even if it's a low-rank head coach, that doesn't count. Only coordinators, I'm looking to fade. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely will agree, especially on poor programs. I mean, you throw a guy into, like, some of these guys that are taking UTEP jobs and stuff like that. Look, I get it. You're trying to get yourself into some kind of program. You're a D1 football coach. Congratulations. But you're really just delaying the inevitable. I mean, you're not going to have success. You're going to get fired. And that's where, with these certain teams, you're never going to get better because you keep making the same mistakes. And that's kind of the problem with it. You must, if you're playing college football and you're betting it, you must align yourself with coaches. Niumatalolo, I've talked about it, Navy. I think he's among the best coaches in the country.
I can't believe he's still there.
Everything out. Because that's the kind of guy he is. He's a fucking real one. That's what he is. He's not some fraud that's just going to jump at the next move. He doesn't care about money. He's everything right with America. Ken Niumatalolo. He's everything right. He preaches excellence. He preaches discipline. He is absolutely perfect for Navy, and he gets it. Why wouldn't you want to be the coach at the Naval Academy? Where else do you need to go? What, to go up and coach these D1 shitheads that don't want to listen to anyone? He gets things out of his players, and that's why you respect the hell out of guys like him. He is, to me, one of the best coaches in the country. Why do you think I love Mark Few so much? Because he fucking gets it. He does things with little. I don't think Mike Krzyzewski, Bill Self, all those hacks, they couldn't coach a fucking junior high team. They only win because they get the best players. People like Mark Few, guys like that, Niumatalolo, they're the real coaches. They're what it is to be a coach. A coach is not someone that just gets the best players and wins. That's not a coach. That's a babysitter that's there because someone puts him in charge.
But recruiting is a huge angle, big man. Recruiting is a big part of college football.
I understand that, but it's not difficult to recruit when you're Georgia or Alabama. I mean, did you see Alabama's cafeteria, for God's sake?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, and they have the absolute gall to complain that they want to get paid on top of everything they do. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Why don't you go talk to the doctor that just did 8 years and all of his pre-boards and stuff? He gets out of college, goes and takes a residency somewhere, makes a couple $1,000s a week, and gives 80% of it to his student loans. Why don't you go talk to him about that? You got to be kidding me with these guys. Get the hell out of here.
I'm telling you, big man, Olympic model. Let them make money off themselves. But the fact that you want the backup tight end for Texas A&M to get paid, he's not bringing any more seats than would be there without him. He's getting a free education. If Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, those guys can make more money, let them do it. But everybody else, I don't think so. What do you think about that? Then we got to wrap up, man.
Well, look, listen, and that's the problem. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to pay anyone, but they don't want their athletic program's being screwed up because you want to go out and make a YouTube video and you're not there for practice.
Right.
It's a slippery slope, man. And it's for me, you leave it the way it is. If you don't like it, go get a regular job, be a college student like everyone else. I mean, I knew plenty of kids in college that have a lot of things to juggle. They got a job, they got a kid, and they go to college at night. Um, Give me a break, okay? I mean, if you don't like it, don't do it. You don't want to be a college kicker. You want to go and make YouTube videos? Go make YouTube videos. You don't have to be a college kicker. When you're ready to give your scholarship back, your dorm room, your internet that you get for free, your food you get for free, the $40 stipend you get every day to get food, when you want to give all that back, then we'll care about your opinion. Until then, shut the hell up and do what you're told. That's all I have to say. And it might be harsh, but it's the harsh reality of if you want. Like Shabazz Napier, when he was at UConn, he actually had the gall to complain about he didn't have money to eat every night. Give me a fucking break. I mean, you get 3 meals a day. I saw your mother was at every game you were at, all the Final Four. Who pays for that? Come on. I mean, why don't you talk to the kid that is scrounging up to try to find somewhere to eat, who doesn't have parents, but he's trying to make a better life for himself and go to college? I mean, you went to college, Drew, and you get it.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah, man. Hey, good stuff, big man. Appreciate everybody watching. Big man, free bet for the watchers. Anything on the World Cup, MLB you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I love this show. What a platform that you give me. I really love it. It's always like being on this show.
Anytime, man.
Really fun. Yeah, I'm gonna throw out like a free. I don't really have anything for tonight. I've kind of taken a back seat with baseball. I've kind of just picked spots with it. I am riled up. I love this platform. What a great show this show is. I could talk for hours, but I do have to go out and get on my jet ski because I'm going down to this beach bar. I don't drink, but I'm going down there. I got some people. Eventually it's gonna get dark, but I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go Arsenal 29-1. Get on that right now. Have some fun with me during the Premier League season. Drew, even you. I know you don't bet soccer, but something to root for throughout the season.
No, I'll throw something out there. I like Stoke City. That's my team.
Stoke City's out of the Premier League, pal.
Damn. Well, I'll have to pick a new team. I don't know.
They're out of the championship.
We're getting the boot here. We got to end it. But good stuff, big man. Follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Arsenal 29-1 to win the EPL. And yeah, great show, big man. Thanks everyone out there. Armin, Alex, Salty Dog, Larry, what's up, guys? Thanks for watching. We'll be back next Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern.